Good evening. My name is Akinola Owolabi. The program, Newsmaker. On Newsmaker today, we have a big cash. And when the program is on, you know what I'm saying. Our Newsmaker today is a lawyer by profession, a politician by vocation, an essayist, and a poet. He is of the state of Osun, precisely the cradle of the Yoruba race. He is of the stock of Chief Victor Babaremilekun Adetokunbo Fani-Kayode dynasty of Ile-Ife. By now I know you will say yes, we are having as our guest one of the Fani-Kayode's children. Yes, if that is it, you are right. Precisely, we are having David Oluwafemi Adewumi Abdulateef Fani-Kayode as a newsmaker this evening. So long a name, you will say.
Thank you very much.
Let's start this way. The correct pronunciation of that name. Is it Fani-Kayode or Fani-Kayode?
You can use both depending on what mood you're in,
okay.
And depending where you come from.
So my mood today is Fani-Kayode.
Of course, that's
it's
fine.
allowed.
It's allowed.
Okay. Let me see. As a politician, he has held a number of political posts, starting from being a press secretary. That is where I'm looking at because I'm a media man. To NRC chairman in those days. Left NRC, went to join those who were in Nadeco in those tough days. From there, he came back, was of the PDP, and of course, he was the first special assistant to the president on public affairs in the history of Nigeria, and that was between 2003 and 2006 to President Obasanjo Obasanjo. And by 2006, he became Minister of Aviation here also in Nigeria, and so many other things like again. The rest today is history. Well, we are here making another history on Newsmaker. Once again, you're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, you are of the Fani-Kayode dynasty in Ile-Ife, in Yoruba land, in Nigeria, and everybody will say yes. When you mention that name, so many things will cross your mind. Let's look at the impact of that name on you as a person, in your private life, in your business life, in your political life. Has it been of any impact?
Well,
positive or otherwise?
Well, of course, far more positive than negative, because it certainly opened doors for me and gave me opportunities that perhaps the majority of people may not have had. And not so much the name, but the nature of the person that was my father and also my mother. I was privileged to have wonderful parents, and they gave me every opportunity that anybody could ever pray for or want in life, to be able to do well in school, to the best schools and so on and so forth, and take advantage of every situation that I found myself in. And of course the name helped a lot. Most people from my family do not like to go into politics, given the experiences that my father has had from the early 50s or late 40s till the time that he passed on in 1995. But I chose that vocation, and I felt called towards that, and so I followed in his footsteps, if you like, and I took the plunge. But of course, the name has, it has benefits and it also has baggage, because you also inherit the enemies of your father, which is not a very fair thing. And then you also have to try to fit into some very large shoes, which is a very difficult thing. But for me personally, I don't look to my father for any kind of validation or legitimacy. I try to make my own mark, and fit into my own shoes, and make my own impact on my own generation. And that's why one is committed to what one is doing now.
Okay, you've been in politics for a long while now.
Yeah, 23 years now.
23 years now. And if you are asked to define politics in Nigerian context, what would that definition be?
It's a very, very complex world, and it is a deep calling. And I would suggest that you need to be extremely tough to last long in Nigerian politics, resilience, and at the same time, in one word, it's a tough arena, tough waters, but certainly worthwhile, because you're making a contribution to your community and to your nation and to the fortunes of your people, which I think which is what I think any leader ought to be doing.
Talking politicians in Nigeria, let's see the way politics has treated you, and the way you have treated politics. It should be a symbiotic relationship, we want to say. How has politics treated you, and how have you treated politics?
Well, you know, like I said, for me, it's a vocation, it's a calling. I have a passion to try to put as much back into my country as my country put into me. If I hadn't been born a Nigerian, perhaps I wouldn't have had the opportunities I had in life. And God has been good to me. The Nigerian people have been good to me and my family. We started politics, or we were into politics 3 generations back, not just from my father's generation. Even my great-grandfather, who was a priest, took Christianity to Ife. But apart from that, my grandfather, who was a lawyer, was also dabbled in politics a little bit, particularly in Lagos. And my father. So, you know, we've gained so much from politics, and we've had the privilege of serving our people in this country for so many generations of my family. So for me, I've gained a lot of knowledge, understanding from the political arena. And I think the political arena has treated me reasonably well as well. You know, and I think I've also made my own impact and my own inputs, and I think I've also been quite fair to the political arena, so that's just it. I mean, it's a sacrifice, and, you know, one has made those sacrifices,
Okay. You were in NRC.
Yeah.
You were in ADECO. You were in PDP. Now in APC. What's your political ideology?
Well, look, ideologies are one thing. I've always been left of center, you understand. I've always been. I have never been comfortable with big business, and I've never been comfortable with political parties that tend to be conservative or far right or right of center. If anything, I'm a populist, and I believe very much in social democratic principles. I'm not quite a socialist, but I'm quite close to it, and that surprises many people. And that has always been my thinking, contrary to the thinking of even my father and a number of others that are around me. But I started firmly within the ranks of the conservatives. What happened with us then was that NRC, you've done your homework, that was in what, 1992 or something like that. And that's when I started, 1990. And of course from there, all sorts of things happened. And then June 12th occurred. When June 12th occurred, everything changed for most of us that came from the Southwest. And it was that point that I decided to join the ranks of the progressives. And of course, by the time I got into NADECO, it was a different story entirely. I had even stopped believing in an entity called Nigeria for a number of years. I went into exile because they wanted to arrest me. That was in 1996, 97. And I stayed in Ghana, and I was part of those, and NADECO, they were termed as NADECO abroad, and I made my input from there. I didn't really want to come back to Nigeria because I had promised myself I wouldn't come back until the country had broken up and we had our own Oduduwa Republic. And that was my thinking then, simply because our people, the Yoruba people of the South, had been subjected to every indignity under the sun. They killed our leaders and locked up so many of our people under Abacha's government. But it was Chief Bola Ige, the late Chief Bola Ige, that implored me and urged me to come back to make a contribution to the affairs of this country in 2001. And I answered that call. I came back. Of course, at that time I was very anti-Obasanjo because I saw him as being the very epitome of imperial Nigeria, and that he had been used by other people to subjugate our people. But when I came back, Uncle Bola introduced me to him. We met. We had an 8-hour discussion or debate or argument, a very heated one, I might add, in Ota. And that is with the president. And at that point he said, look, I need young men like you around me, and I want you to be coming to Abuja. And I started visiting him, and every weekend I was in Abuja. We got to know each other very well, and I realized that I misunderstood him, and that's how he cultivated me, and I learned so much from him. He literally adopted me as his own political son, and that's when he came back in 2003, and he now offered me an appointment in his government, and of course the rest is history. You know, we went through the PDP years, and PDP fell apart as far as I'm concerned in the last 5 years, and I joined APC. So that's a brief history of me.
We'll still be coming to the issue of Nigeria, the centenary celebrations, and whether Nigeria should still remain one or not. We'll come to that, and your relationship with Obasanjo too. But let's look at your sojourn in PDP and your departure from PDP. You must have had so many reasons adduced for your movement in and out. Some will say, yes, you look at some politicians and wherever the bread will be buttered, that is where they will go. We don't know if you've heard that, if you are hearing that from me now. So why did you leave PDP?
If I wanted my bread to be buttered, I would have chosen the easier course, which is to keep quiet, be a good boy, go to the villa every day, talk to the PDP leaders and the people within the PDP government and say that, look, no matter what you do, even if you cut off the head of the Yoruba people and humiliate us and castrate us, that I'll be a very nice Yoruba man for you. I'll be your Yoruba man and I won't complain. That's what people that want their bread to be buttered do, and there are many like that. I've refused to do that. That's the easy course. The most difficult one is to oppose government and to tell government where they're going wrong, especially since you know, some of us feel that we were responsible for the situation that's on the ground today. Okay. We were a PDP government that did exceptionally well between 1999. Well, I was there from 2003 to 2007. Obasanjo, 99 to 2007.
Exceptionally well?
Yes, they did exceptionally well. That's indisputable, and the facts and figures are there. Okay. Now, but the issue for us is not Obasanjo's tenure now. Okay. Post Obasanjo 2007, up till today, every sector of our economy, every sector of this country has gone to the dogs. And if we were part and parcel of those that supported the Yar'Adua government and brought them there, and we also supported the Goodluck Jonathan government and brought them there, and they've created such catastrophe for our country, then it is incumbent upon us to point this out to them privately and quietly. If they refuse to change, it's incumbent upon us to fight them. It took me a long time to get to this point of leaving the PDP. I had opposed the PDP from 2007 from within and publicly, but I stayed within the party, like Obasanjo is doing now. I stayed within the party. From 2008, I was very vocal. I insisted on internal reform. All my friends left, El Rufai, Ribadu, and all the rest. They left the party at a very early stage. I stayed in and fought from within. It was only when it was clear to me about 9 or 10 months ago that not only will PDP never change, but also if we continue with PDP, this country was going to hit the rocks and eventually either break up, or our people, the Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria, 50 million of us, were going to be totally and completely humiliated and shamed within this entity. And therefore I decided to now leave and fight them. And that is what I've been doing, and I'm committed to that cause. Not because of anything other than the fact that I want a better Nigeria. I want a better state for my people, the people of the Southwest within Nigeria. And I want to ensure that the economy, security situation in our country improves, and that this country gets the kind of leadership that it deserves. President Obasanjo, who was my boss and is still my political father, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for him up till today, was part and parcel of those, or rather he was the main person that created this mess by insisting on Yar'Adua and by insisting on Goodluck Jonathan at a later stage. It's incumbent upon him more than anybody else to clean up this mess because he created it. I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I'm glad that he's doing that now by telling the PDP government precisely where they've gone wrong and telling the president to chart his course. And this was well enunciated in the letter that he published just a few weeks back. So I think we're on the right course now. That is, everybody that matters in this country is now joining forces regardless of ideology, regardless of their political thinking, their past or past affiliations. They're coming together to say enough is enough, we've got to stop this government. And I'm glad that Vice President Atiku has also joined our ranks and so many other key figures and are supporting our cause to stop Goodluck from coming back.
People are saying, all of you coming together now under the APC, most especially those of you leaving the umbrella. Some will say the umbrella is torn and whatever name they want to give to it. Yeah. You were there at the federal level. El-Rufai was there. Atiku was there as a vice president. He left for AC, went back to PDP, now back in APC. People are saying, where you are going now, are you sure you are likely to make the desired change? That is one. And the problem that was in PDP, will it not be transferred to APC? Look,
there's no problem. The problem of PDP is something that's very peculiar to the PDP. And the problem of PDP is that those that have now hijacked the leadership of the PDP and that are controlling the federal government. And it is not just a question of politics. This needs to be clearly understood. Okay. There is an ethnic agenda to this. Okay. It's beyond ideology. Okay. It's beyond ordinary politics. If we're to talk about ideas and ideology and how to improve an economy, we can discuss that. And that's what people are meant to do. People that are in power or people that want power. Okay. But we've gone beyond that. PDP has become a vessel to empower people of the Ijaw extraction and people of the East to superimpose them and superimpose their authority on everybody else in this country. And they are not making any pretense about it. And that is why we welcome anybody. I joined APC before APC was even registered as a party. And people said, well, why would you go and join a party that's not been registered? If you remember, there was a time the name had been coined, but it hadn't been registered and nobody was even sure. But I did it based on my faith, and it was a very prophetic thing. I realized and I knew that this was a time to do this. We didn't go there to play games. We didn't go there to just sit for the sake of going. We went there, or we are there, in order to attempt to save our country, because our country is going to the dogs. And, you know, I can go through the facts and figures. I can tell you all that very easily, but there's far more to this than ideology. We are trying to save our country, and no matter, you know, whatever your past political affiliations were, I would urge anybody that is sensible enough and that knows what's going on in this country today to now sever their relationship with the PDP and come and join the APC, which is really the new kid on the block.
You were talking of ethnic agenda the other time.
Yeah.
And you made vague reference to Yoruba race, Yoruba people of the southwestern part of Nigeria. In concrete terms, how will you say, yes, the Yorubas have been played out under the present arrangement? Frankly speaking, facts and figures.
Let me give you one.
Not general statements.
I never make general statements, and I'm always very specific and clear. And I'll answer that by giving you just one, which should make you happy. We don't have one position in the top 20 key positions in this country today. Not one. This has never happened in the history of our country. Now, some would argue that, well, that was self-inflicted. We could have had the number 4 position, but the APC colluded with certain elements and gave it to a northern PDP person. Fine, I accept that. There was a reason for that. But surely, even if we give up the 4th position or lose it, the president could have found a key position for us in the top 20. We don't have one. This has never happened in the history of our country. We have 50 million people in this country. We do not have one key position in the top 20, and yet we have 50 million people in this country. Quite apart from that, anybody that has a business that is dealing in any of the sectors that is a Yoruba person, 9 times out of 10, they are being marginalized, they're being humiliated, and, you know, the ethos and the thinking is clear. It's simple and clear. The agenda is that those from another part of the country, I'm talking about those from the Ijaw extraction and other parts, have decided that this is their time. It is their time to catch up and overtake the rest of us. And therefore, the North and the Southwest have been targeted by these people. And it's a systematic thing. And it's something that we need to be very, very conversant with and take very seriously indeed. Another 4 years of this type of thing, and our people will be reduced to a position that, or a state that I'm sure they would never want to be reduced to, and our forefathers would never forgive us for that. So we need to stand up and say enough is enough and fight for our rights within a wider Nigeria. I'm not a secessionist, but I do believe that each of the nationalities has rights, and we should be able to get our fair share and our fair crack of the whip from the federal level.
We will come to issue having to do with state level now, but before we do that, so many things to talk about on that federal. But first and foremost, we were from Osun. I want to see how things are in the state. But before we get to that, a Yoruba man, quote and unquote, was more or less the political godfather of the present president, bringing him to power.
What is it?
The Yorubas voted en masse for him in 2011, maybe except for the state of Osun. Every other state in Yoruba land, they won here. And so, if it's like this, it's like a friendship turned sour. Where did things go the other way?
Okay, that's a very good observation you made, and you're absolutely right. The Yorubas were the first to support Goodluck Jonathan. If you remember, the PDP Southwest under Obasanjo was the first to announce their support and insistence that Goodluck Jonathan should be allowed to continue when the whole of the North didn't want him. Not only that, I was there when Obasanjo brought Yar'Adua and told us all, Yar'Adua must be the candidate and Goodluck Jonathan must be the running mate. Okay? And of course, when Yar'Adua died, there was the natural succession. Some wanted to truncate it and have a new convention with it, but Obasanjo said no, and the Southwest said no. When the election came, you're quite right, the Southwest voted en masse for Goodluck Jonathan. Now, this is a classic case. And no, before I go to that, historically, the Southwest has championed the cause of the southern minorities and the northern minorities more than any other race in this country. Okay? A lot of people don't realize that if you look at Action Group's programs, how they fought for the Ijaw people and their rights and so on and so forth. Not many people are aware of this. This was also there. So we've always been good to them, and we've always reached out to them and supported them. I'm talking about the southern minorities, the Ijaws and all the rest of them. What do you find? How were we repaid? Since post-2011, after Goodluck Jonathan came in, he completely forgot about all that. He completely forgot about his godfather, Obasanjo. He sought to marginalize Obasanjo, humiliate Obasanjo, destroy Obasanjo's political legacy in the Southwest, destroyed the PDP in the Southwest, that's Obasanjo's party, humiliated the man, took all his key officers out. That was the first step. Then he now unleashed his vitriol on the Yoruba people by ensuring that all our businessmen, all our politicians, everything when it comes to the federal level for the Yorubas was taken away from them, and they were humiliated. The only place the Yoruba people are doing well now are within the Yoruba states themselves, because they're being run by Yoruba men. You wouldn't expect otherwise. But anything federal, Goodluck Jonathan has repaid our good with evil. And as far as I'm concerned, this needs to be resisted, and this is one of the reasons why we must stand up and say enough is enough. Come 2015, we need to reach out the cause. We need to support somebody else as a people, and we also need to perhaps insist that the Vice President should come to the Southwest.
Okay. That's your own opinion, and everybody is entitled to use.
That is my view, and that is my view. That is my view, and that is the view of a large number of people within the party that I am in, particularly those of us from the Southwest. And why not? Yes.
Why not? Why not? If not, let's look at the Southwest. You were talking about the government of the Southwest and the fact that they've been working.
Yeah.
And that is where, according to you, quoting you, where things are happening for the Yorubas. And also you talk about other states being controlled by APC before these defections from the other party, the other governors. And people are saying, when you begin to talk like this, what exactly are you out saying in terms of the performances? Are you saying the performances we have in the Southwest is enough selling points for APC at the federal level?
No, look, what I'm saying is this: the high quality of leadership that the APC has displayed in the Southwest, in terms of the governors of the Southwest, has shown beyond reason, or proved beyond reasonable doubt, that our people are capable of running anything very, very well. And I'm very proud of that. And all you have to do is look at all the records. I've been to virtually every southwestern state in the last few weeks and months. And I've gone into the facts and figures. And I'm very impressed. And I'm saying that given that level of performance, that high quality leadership that we have in the Yoruba states, it would be a wonderful thing to translate that to the federal level and have somebody as number 2 at the federal level to enunciate and support and encourage these type of programs, which essentially are APC programs. Because APC, there are many constituent groups that form APC, but there's a huge bulk of APC came from the old ACN in the Southwest. And it appears to me that most of the policies of the APC today are drawn from the ACN programs. If you look at what's happening in Kano today, Governor Kwakwanso, my good friend and brother, has introduced free education at all levels. That is an ACN program. It's a welfareist program. It's a populist program. And these are things that are associated with the ACN. And I think that that is the type of thing we need at the federal level, left of center, focused, high quality leadership to move Nigeria forward. And to that extent, I think that we deserve to have somebody from that stock at that level. Not only that, to protect the interests of our people. Don't be misled when people tell you that it's all about just moving the country forward. No, it's also about protecting the interests of your own nationality. Nigeria is a nation that it comprises of various nationalities. And I insist, and I will repeat, that a nationality of 50 million people, the Yoruba people of the Southwest, need good representation and need to be able to have a good input at the center, and that's what we're working for.
Let's take a look at the state of Osun. We'll come back to all this issue later. You are from this state.
Yes, I am.
And you've moved around.
Yeah.
You must have heard so much you must have read so much. Maybe you have also written so much, because I know you are a writer. But dispassionately,
yes,
you have to assess situations in the state of Osun today, in terms of the way the government in the state is impacting on the people. What would be your take?
Well,
dispassionately.
No. Well, of course, no. I want to, let me just clear this before I go any further. I'm actually on record as criticized. When I was in PDP, I criticized PDP more than anybody else from time to time. And wherever I am, whatever I do, I always try to be dispassionate and clear, and I always back it with facts and figures. Which is why a lot of people that may be in the same party with me, whether APC or PDP, are quite uncomfortable with me, because you really don't know what I might say, because I base my views on what I have written and what I have seen, not on what they want me to say. So we're talking about Osun State. I think that this state is really quite blessed to have the type of governor that you have today, that we have today. Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola has done an excellent job, and I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. It's just not, my nature as a person would not allow me to do that. I look at the facts and figures, and I might add, I was very close to the previous governor, Governor Oyilola, who is my friend and my older brother, and we were in the PDP together. But the fact remains that by the time Oyilola's administration left power, this state was indebted to a very large amount. I mean, I remember there was one particular loan of 18 billion, which was from UBA alone, and the state was indebted. The state was owing at that time. Now, Aregbesola has come in, and the first thing he did was to clear that debt, wipe it away, pay it off, reschedule it. And since then, the state has not been in debt. Now, that's a plus. That's what you call fiscal responsibility. And it's something that needs to be commended and needs to be encouraged. Okay? Now, quite apart from that, you talk about IGR. When Oyilola was in power, this state was generating 300 million naira per month or thereabouts. Aregbesola came to power. This state is now generating 1.6 to 1.7 billion naira per month. So again, fiscal discipline, and he's got his priorities right, and he seems to be generating the monies that needs to be. This is quite apart from monies that are coming from the federal account, federation account. He's generating that amount of money on a monthly basis. Okay? You look at youth empowerment. 40,000 youths have been empowered in the last few years since Aregbesola came to power in this country. Various youth schemes and so in this state. Okay? And that again should be commended, and it's indisputable. These are people, some employed, some unemployed. They've done all sorts of jobs. Some of those jobs menial in some sense, but they're working, and the whole work ethos is something that he has regenerated. You don't have a situation where our youth are just lying about, doing nothing, involving themselves in cultism and violence and lamenting from morning to night. They're doing something productive, and they're taking pride in it, and he has restored the pride and the dignity of the Osun youth, and I'm very, very proud of that. If you look at the educational reform, there's massive infrastructural development, upgrading of schools and so on and so forth. Go to Ilare-Ife, for example, Baptist Elementary School. Look at what they've done there, and this is reciprocated throughout the state. In most of the local government areas, schools are being built, schools are being refurbished, and they're pleasant places to be. Look at the Tablet of Knowledge. I'll call it the Tablet of Knowledge, which has just received a commendation from the House of Commons of the United Kingdom that this should be replicated throughout the whole of the country. Each final year student is given one of these tablets of knowledge, and it has impacted immensely on their knowledge about what's going on throughout the world. We live in an internet age now, and Osun is right up there with the rest of the country, with the rest of the world. Our youth are learning so much about what's going on. Look at the issue of security. Peace has been restored in this state. The levels of violence, are far less than they were before. I remember in those days, in Ife, for example, Ife, Modakeke, and so on and so forth, all the various crises, so many things were going on over the last so many years. But the last few years, things have changed. It's a relatively peaceful state. And we must commend the Commissioner of Police as well, who is a lovely lady, Doris Gimba. I think her name is Doris or Dorothy Gimba. And we must commend His Excellency for ensuring that this is a priority for him. Osun is at peace. People are not killing one another. It's almost violence-free. Look at health. Ambulances everywhere, all the key strategic positions within the state. You also have upgrading of hospitals and so on and so forth. And all the structures, decaying infrastructures are being upgraded. And the one I like the most, social security schemes, which is a wonderful welfareist policy. Okay. Each elder citizen in this state gets 10,000 naira per month now, you know, from the state. And, you know, I think that is something that ought to be encouraged, and it is spreading all over the country. They are copying what's going. It started in Ekiti State, I might add, but it's been taken up here, and we're paying more to our elder citizens than even Ekiti, I might add. And that is something that is a wonderful thing. You know, I could go on and on. Look at the roads. Let me just say, if I may, the roads, the street lights, and so on and so forth. Everything is working. The roads are good, and most important of all, we have what I would call religious harmony in the state. A lot of people have said a lot of things about religion in this. Yes,
yeah.
I'll
so
come
much
to
on that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
The government trying to Islamize the state.
Well, let me just say. Let me just.
You are David at the same time.
No, I'm not at the same. Well, a name is a name. Part of my family is Muslim, and I'm very proud of that.
Okay, that is.
But I'm also. You know, you need to understand me. I'm also. If there's anything you will call a Christian fundamentalist, I'm the closest to it.
Okay.
And for me to ever commend a Muslim governor and say that there's religious harmonies, you need to understand that I must mean what I'm saying. What I mean by that, yes, what I mean by that is this: that the allegations have been made about attempts to Islamize this state. I would be the last person to support anybody that has that kind of agenda. And I can assure you that Aregbesola is just not that type of person. He, like me, takes his religious faith very seriously. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. However, he sees himself first and foremost as a Yoruba man, as a Nigerian, and as a committed religious person, as to being anything else. And the suggestion, the lie that he wants to Islamize the state is simply not true. I would be the first to resist that. I would be the first to mobilize Christians against such a thing. I've done it at the national level in the past when I felt that kind of agenda was being unfolded. And I would do it here without batting an eyelid. But I know him, and I've seen what he's done here, and he'll be the last person to do such a thing. And I would encourage those within the PDP that are trying to sell this idea, not just in Osun, they're selling it even at the national level, that APC and all those of us in APC are either Muslim fundamentalists or have an Islamic agenda. It's absolute poppycock. It's not true. The Yoruba nation, the Yoruba people are well above that. We have Christians, Muslims, we work in harmony, we live together peacefully, and nobody should bring religious in. So I repeat, he brought religious harmony to the state. People need to understand that if he's a Muslim, he's a committed Muslim, that is his business. We as Christians, all we need to ensure is that we have our rights protected and we are able to make an input into the affairs of the state. And that's what I see happening here.
This is election year in Osun and Ekiti.
It is indeed.
And people will say whatever happens in Osun and in Ekiti,
yes,
will go a long way in determining what will happen next year.
Yeah.
You do by that?
I do. Simply because, again, you have to look at the bigger picture. The elections in Osun and Ekiti, as far as the PDP are concerned, that is the ruling party of the center, for them it's a do-or-die affair. They need to ensure that...
For APC?
For the PDP.
For APC.
The ruling... I'll come to that in a minute. For the PDP, it's a do-or-die affair. There's no way that anybody would imagine that having carried out all these wonderful things, that a PDP government can come and defeat us in this state or in Ekiti state. It's just not going to happen. Both governors, that is Kayode Fayemi in Ekiti and Ogbeni Aregbesola here in Osun State, have done exceptionally well. And you talk about PDP. What is the PDP? A party that has about 3 factions and so on and so forth, that's not at peace with itself. So how can they possibly? So what they want to do, just to cut it short, is this. They have a plan to come in and falsify election results, to rig elections and so on and so forth. And I will say this, and it's very important to make this point. I've made it elsewhere, and I'll make it again now. If you are a student of history, you will appreciate the fact that it is a very dangerous thing to do. Elections were rigged in this part of the country in 1964-65. It led to a military coup in 1966. Elections were rigged in 1983 in this part of the country. It led to a military coup in 1983. Elections were annulled. A son of the Yoruba became president of the country in 1993, and it was annulled. The country did not know peace. The person that caused it was pushed aside. That is, Babangida was pushed aside. A new government came in. The country did not know peace for many, many years. And it took the restoration of that mandate, if you like, by bringing another Yoruba man to rule the country in 1999 before this country saw peace again. Now, what I'm saying is this. It is very unwise, it would be very unwise for anybody within the ruling party or within the government to have the agenda or to try to put in place an agenda whereby the elections are rigged this year in Osun or in Ekiti State. Because if that happens, the people will resist it. Okay. And our people will not allow their mandate to be stolen. Okay. It's very, very important. Okay. And if they do that, I assure you that the reaction will be unimaginable. It will be unimaginable.
I hope we are not going the way of El-Rufai.
Why? No. That's a good observation. And as a journalist and as somebody that is a responsible citizen, I will tell you, okay, that El-Rufai said and did absolutely nothing wrong. Okay. If a thief comes into your house, okay, or plans to come into your house, and the state is not prepared to use the police to charge him to court, having been caught, and prosecute him and send him to jail, you will take up self-help. He's not inciting anybody. He's simply saying, if there is rigging, there will be a reaction. And I'm repeating that here and now. And if there is rigging in Ekiti State or in Osun State or in 2015, there will be a reaction. These are people that declared 15 as being higher than 19 in the Governors Forum election. Okay. So that is it.
The issue of election across party lines. Now APC is benefiting. The progressive camp, AD, started losing when this democracy came on board. Remember with Obasanjo and others who decamped in those days. And later you have those who left also at various state levels. Yes. At a point in time, you even have governors who were decamping from Party A to Party B. And now you are talking about declaration of seats of those who must have defected, either as state governor or as members of the National Assembly vacant. And people are saying right from the time you have this kind of defection in the western region, but the Progressive Union moving this way, that there have not been this idea of declaring seats vacant or not. So some will say yes, if it happened to Party A and he didn't react, he decided to sleep on his strike. Well, you are a lawyer. How do you see this idea now that seats of those who are moving from one party to another should be declared?
No, I don't agree with it. I mean, it's a matter that will be determined by the courts. But my own understanding of the law is very simple and clear, that where there's a division within any party, people are quite within their rights to decamp and go to another party without having their seats declared vacant. People can declare seats vacant, whether it's constitutional or lawful or not, is a completely different matter. And the courts will determine that. But what I will say is that it's very important for people to appreciate the fact that when your party is getting it wrong, you reserve the right to move to another party. Coalition governments, mergers, and so on and so forth are part and parcel of democracy. It happened in the United Kingdom recently when the Lib Dems, the Liberal Party, joined the Conservative Party to form a government. And new parties are formed all over the world in order to better the plight of the people. And I think that's a right and proper thing to do. Politics is not a cult. You're not in a political party. You're not sworn to remain there for life. You haven't taken a blood oath that you will never leave, and you will always agree what the leadership says. Where the leadership is getting it wrong, what a responsible leader is meant to do is say, enough is enough, this is wrong. If you can't change, I will leave and I will fight you. And that's what these people are doing. And it's a very, very courageous thing to do, I might add, because you're fighting the ruling party and the ruling government. Nobody does it lightly.
You are one of those people think are very close to Obasanjo. They will even refer to some of you as Obasanjo boys. Now you are an APC. And some are saying Obasanjo has sent you down to APC, preparing his own movement to APC.
No. Obasanjo made
political father coming to APC.
A good father has children on all sides. And Obasanjo, I am very close.
That's his part way of asking.
I'm very close to Obasanjo, President Obasanjo, because he gave me the opportunity to serve my country. But I was in politics for many, many years, and I opposed Obasanjo at one time. But I am close to him. But he makes his own choices. He's chosen to stay where he is to try to salvage what's left of his party. We've moved on from there. And nobody can send me to do anything anywhere. I only send myself to do what I want to do. I'm far too big for that. We disagree on many issues today, Obasanjo and I. But one thing I will never do is run down his record in public office, because I think that it's an excellent record and he did very well for Nigeria. We disagree. He's a conservative. I'm not a conservative. I'm on the other side, and I've always been. Even within his cabinet, we opposed a lot of things at the time. A few of us that were, he called us Nadeko ministers and Nadeko advisors. But you know, he will always be my father, even if we disagree politically. And I sincerely hope that now that he's been designated as the navigator of the APC by Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, let's hope that one day he will also find the courage to actually jump over and join us. Can I, because it's important, if I may.
Okay.
There are a few, there are a few things I really do need to share about what's going on at the national level in terms of the performance of this government, which I think the people of Osun deserve to hear. You know,
let's do that quickly.
Sure, yeah. I mean, let's look at security. You know, this Goodluck Jonathan's government, 7,000 people have been killed by Boko Haram in the last 3 years in this country. This is unprecedented. This is a record in terms of outside the civil war. Not as many of our civilians have ever been killed since the beginning, since we got independence in 1960. He has not been able to secure the lives and property of the people, and Boko Haram are just slaughtering people left, right and center in the north, kidnapping in the south, and so on, and you know, all kinds of things in the south, and so on and so forth. If you look at the issue of the economy itself, okay, you know, I need to go back a bit. In 1999, when Obasanjo came in, we had 1.2 billion, I'm sorry, when Obasanjo came in 19, we were owing 30 billion naira, $30 billion to the foreign debt, foreign monetary institutions, okay? By the time Obasanjo finished, yeah, exactly, Bretton Woods institutions, World Bank, IMF, Paris Club. By the time Obasanjo finished, he had wiped out that debt. And we weren't owing a penny to anybody, okay? Today, we're now owing almost $20 billion again in the last 5 years. What are they doing with the money? And they're still borrowing. That is number one. If you look at the issue of excess crude account, Obasanjo created it. When he came in 1999, there was no excess crude account. This is the money, you know, that's kept for a rainy day. By the time he left, we had $24 billion in the excess crude account, okay? Today, we have $2 billion in the excess crude account, only $2 billion, despite all the massive amounts of money that has accrued to the Federation account from oil and gas sales over the last 5 years, record amounts, yet we only have $2 billion left there. You look at our foreign reserve, which is very, very important. In 1991, when Obasanjo came in, we had $1.2 billion left in our foreign reserves. By the time he left, we had $47 billion left in our foreign reserves. Today, we have less than $30 billion left in our foreign reserves. Again, despite the massive amounts of money that has been accrued, you know, to this country, money we've made, oil and gas sales. Let me also add this. Unemployment figures is very, very important. 80% of our graduates in this country today, that's 8 out of 10, cannot find jobs. This is a record in terms of an abysmal record in terms of our history. It's never been so bad. If you have a degree, 8 out of 10 of you cannot get a job in Nigeria today, and 51% of our people, that's ordinary people, can't get jobs. So you have 51% unemployment rate, 80% graduate unemployment rate. You look at the issue of oil theft. Today we have 50% of our oil, I mean, Odoaga, who is a PDP man, said it's now 40%, as if that's anything to be proud of. 50%, I maintain that, of our oil production is being stolen, and the president cannot even secure our oil pipelines. In fact, he gave security over to one of his own, one Tom Polo, who was an ex-militant, and still 50% of our crude sales, crude production is being stolen, and all the top companies are divesting from Nigeria and selling their interests, Shell and so on and so on, are selling their oil fields on Nigerian soil to local interests. Okay, you look at the issue of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi's accusation 2 days ago. He's now said $20 billion is missing. Okay, he has reiterated that $20 billion is missing. You look at the issue of how this country is being run. Look, I'll tell you something today. We have 5 presidents in this country, not just one. We have the first president is the first lady. The second president is the minister of oil. The third president is the Minister of Aviation. The fourth president is the Minister of Finance. And the fifth president is the President of the Federal Republic. And he comes a distant fifth. And he
so
dare,
5 presidents?
Yes, 5 presidents. And I've written, let me make the point. And it's a very serious issue.
Okay.
It's something that many of us feel strongly about. Okay. He dare not even claim to be fourth in the first 4, because they are the people running the country and not him. We deserve better leadership. He's a distant 5, okay? And finally, look at what's happening in River State, where people are being killed on a daily basis and being denied, that is APC members, being denied the right to even have processions, to even demonstrate, and even have meetings. on and so forth, where a commissioner of police, one Mbu, has taken over the power in the state and will tell a serving democratically elected government which road he can take, where he can go, where he cannot go. This is completely unacceptable. And it's for all these reasons that we are saying that we must join forces to ensure that Goodluck Jonathan does not come back in 2015.
Finally, before we go, we are ending where we started. Your person.
Yes.
You are a controversial man. I don't know if I heard people saying that. You were in office, you left, and people were saying all sorts of things. In terms of even the kind of employment you did right there. You've written a number of letters that people will say, Fani-Kayode, even at the home front, people will say this and that. When you see the kind of controversy people attach to your person and to your name, how do you feel? I
feel good about it. The worst thing that you can do is to be ignored and not to be relevant. If you call that controversy, that's fine. But you must take a position on issues and you must lead. I am not somebody that follows. I lead and I take positions on issues. You mentioned about the kind of people I employed. Some people felt that I employed too many people from Osun State when I was Minister of Aviation and also when I was Minister of Culture and Tourism. They went and looked and they said I had employed so many sons of Osun, so many Yoruba people that I must be banned from public office for 5 years.
Were they lying against you?
Sorry? They were not lying. I was very proud of the facts, but it's not a crime to employ the best. We had the best, we had the brightest, and it's quite right and proper to do that. If you have the best and the brightest, you give them jobs. You don't say because they're Yoruba, we're not going to give them jobs. So I did so. Just as any Igbo minister, the one you have there today, has removed 70% of Yorubas that were there. That is that girl Stella Odwa. Removed 70% of the Yoruba people that were managers and directors in the Ministry of Aviation, and has also done that, and they have done the same in virtually every other sector that they're controlling today, and nobody's complaining. So why would they have complained? So I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of my record as Minister of Aviation and Minister of Culture and Tourism, and I'm proud of what I did for Obasanjo, and I'm proud of my essays that you mentioned, and I'll continue to write.
You must have been proud of being a guest on Newsmaker.
I'm very proud. I'm not only proud of that, I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of every indigenous of Osun State.
As our guest on the program.
Thank you very much.
We have 2 more hours. We'll still continue to take you up.
Thank you.
We must give time for some other programs. And we'll say
thank you very much. Thanks,
Fani-Kayode, for being our guest on this program. For everybody that has contributed in one way or the other to this particular production, we appreciate you. To our viewers, it's because we are there that we are here. Hopefully, we'll meet again next week with another Newsmaker or Newsmaker. Until then, this is Akamla. We'll be saying bye-bye for now.